Scaling a service business can be exhausting, especially if it relies only on adding more people. Instead, you need to productize your services to scale more efficiently and sustainably. So now it's time to switch your definition of growth from stop counting the number of people in your company to start counting your revenue and profit. Because service business model itself is very limited to perform exponential scaling. Take this. There are a lot of service providers, for instance, software development outsourcing companies. If you seeking for software development services, you will get bombarded from thousands of companies offering their solutions. You just find it really hard to figure out which services they deliver in. You will find it hard to figure out which one is the best for you. But anyways, the biggest problem is that from my experience, I got lots of frustration outsourcing work and hiring services company because usually I was not satisfied with the results. So out of these big red ocean of thousands competing companies, you need to find a way to stand out and show people that you are the one they will be satisfied with. And competing against all of these companies is not an option. The only way to escape competition is innovation. But which innovation can we add to the service business? If we do marketing services, if we're doing software development services, which kind of innovation we can have here? I mean, if you're building product, you're launching rockets to the Mars, of course, it's an innovation. And there is no doubt that you will create your blue ocean and escape out of competition. By the way, if you're not aware of the concepts blue ocean and red ocean, I highly recommend reading the Blue Ocean Strategy book, link in the description. Hopefully there is a way to innovate in your service business, and this is by twisting your business model. So let's now consider the standard service business model. So let's say I use my example. I'm doing the software development outsourcing. So I had 3 clients and I have hourly contracts with them. So in order to scale my business, I need to get more clients. I need to get 10 more clients, then I will get more revenue. However, I need someone to deliver the work, so I need to hire more labor. Well, it means that I'm competing in 2 markets. I'm competing in software development market because I need to stand out of the competition to show my results to the client, but also I'm competing in the labor market. So I need to compete among multiple different companies to hire the best talent in order to perform the best services possible. So if I take standard approach to beat the competition, I can offer lower prices for the clients and higher salaries for the labor, but it means that I'm eating all the profit and this business becomes irrelevant. Also, the number of work you need to do growth exponentially when you add more clients in a standard service business model, because adding more people itself creates more complexity in your company. You need to find out more ways to make them communicate with each other. Thus, you need to hire project managers, you need to create departments, hierarchies. All of these leads to bureaucracy and inefficiency, costing you even more to run that business. So as you can see, the relation between the number of clients and number of work is that number of work growth exponentially. So thus, if we get more clients, we also have number of labor we need to hire growth exponentially. We can't have here the static growth like this, because if we want to sell more people hours to our client, we need to add more management around it, so the talented professionals can deliver their work. They will be well communicated, leading us to requiring more talent that is exponentially growth in the number of clients. And it turns us into the reality that the revenue growth is declining over time, the growth of the client. So it means if we have 4 clients and then we scale our business to 8 clients, so our profit grew twice, but then if we scale it to 16 clients, in the best case, our profit will grow to 1.5 times. And this is the declining growth line. So it is obvious that the standard business growth strategy for service businesses is not effective anymore, because there are giant providers, giant agencies that created that industry, that market, and it's really hard and almost impossible to compete with them. But hopefully we can follow the concept that I have already mentioned, that called services productization, that can help us to twist those charts in the following way. So with productization, the growth of work amount over time is declining with the growth of the client. So it means that every time we get new client, we don't need to do same amount of work as we did to get the last client. Same happens with the talent. So we do not need to hire more talent per every client. Then it means that we need to occasionally add a couple of new team members for dozens of clients that resulting in the growth like this. So our profits are growing dramatically and exponentially, because the more clients we get, the more revenue comes, and the amount of work is not growing exponentially, leaving us with the ability to provide huge value for clients with low effort while resulting in high profits. So let's talk about how every business service provider can achieve it. So the first thing you need to do is focus. And by focusing, I mean is first narrow down your target audience segment and narrow down your target services segment. So let's observe the example I've experienced with software development. I used to be the software development provider where I was doing all kinds of software development for any type of businesses. I was doing web development, mobile development, cloud infrastructure setup, embedded development, IoT development. I was doing for SaaS startups, AI startups, enterprises, different kind of clients. And it means that I needed to use the standard business model to do so. So what I did, I narrowed down my target audience to SaaS startups. Then I found that from my existing clients, SaaS startups were the one who needed cloud infrastructure services the most. So I have narrowed down my offer to offering cloud deployment services for the startups. And then I started searching for the similarities that I have in the cloud infrastructure setup. And in most cases, most startups require primarily similar cloud infrastructure. While they were developing different applications, the cloud infrastructure around them was primarily similar because all the startups are located in the unawareness. So they can't build any kind of long-term scalability before they do proper market validation. To have proper market validation, they just needed a simple but really reliable cloud infrastructure. So I have managed to build a system with all the modules where the custom cloud infrastructure could be possible to set up for the client in less than 1 day. And that means that one developer can set up 10 infrastructures per week. And this is insane because most of the competitors that were trading man hours outsourcing, where the developers created a separate infrastructure for each client from scratch, were spending months to deliver only one client and providing the same value. So it means that I can charge the same amount as the competitors charging for the 1 month of work, but literally deliver the work in 1 day. So another benefit from this approach was that my marketing worked really well. It worked really simplified. In the standard service model where I'm offering everything to everyone, I needed to reach out to people with generic messages telling them that I'm providing a whole bunch of services, and occasionally someone was replying. Then I needed to get them to the call, spending weeks with back and forth conversation, discussing all the pros and cons, then spending another weeks to creating proposal estimation, only then starting a work. That was a huge overhead. But with this specific targeted offer to a targeted niche, I didn't need to do so because I was reaching out to the people with only one message and one offer. It increased my reply rates, and as far as I got lots of clients, I was more engaged in them, working with them. I know exactly the problem they're experiencing, so I know which creatives, which messages work for them. So my acquisition funnel work in the way that I can just spend one 30-minute call to get a new client, and everything else was automated. And this is how exponential growth has been achieved. And this service productization approach could be applied to any service business actually. let's say if you're doing mobile development, right? It's still pretty broad niche mobile development, and it could be narrowed down to some specific, like mobile development for small e-com brands. Because if you do mobile development, you might do a whole bunch of different mobile development. You might do for IoT services, for social media, any stuff like that, and then it's hard to find some similarities in your niche and in your offer. But then if you narrow it down to specific target audience, you can see the similarities that they have. So okay, like small e-commerce brands, let's say they have about 5 to 10 products. Most of them have this standard checkout flow. They drive in traffic from this to this. So you literally has the same skeleton for each client that you can reuse. And what you're gonna do, you just need to adjust the design for the specific client. But the main wireframe of the mobile app remains the same. You just slightly adjusting literally the colors and user experience for different use cases. And this is how you speed up and productize your mobile development services. Same could be applied for digital marketing. Same could be applied for home cleaning services. And this is the best way to stand out of competition, create your blue ocean, and scale your service business. But then you might have another question. Okay, so let's say you have an established agency and doing web development, mobile development, and all kind of other solutions. So does it mean that I'm offering you to terminate all the services and leave only one? No. What I recommend you to do is focus on productizing one service at a time. So instead of promoting 5 services simultaneously, focus all your efforts on one service. And once you completely automate this service, so you know the marketing works well, delivery works well, the system works well, and literally you don't need to intercept in that system because it's so well automated, you can leave it running and focus on other services. And then you can have just separate offers, separate services to separate niches. But instead of doing it in a standard way, offering a broad catalog of different services straight away, you focusing on one service at a time and then gradually extending the number of your services. And sometimes it might be really challenging when you're just starting the business because you might not 100% sure which kind of service this particular niche needs, and you're still in exploration phase. So in that case, I have experienced this same. So what I did, I have created my primarily offer that was cloud infrastructure setup that involved deployment setup, monitoring setup, and cloud setup itself. And then I have just started looking for different freelance platforms, like which kind of jobs people are looking for. And I figured out, okay, some people looking for the VPN setup as well. So some people looking for just CI/CD deployment setup. And I started just creating multiple different micro offers. So for instance, one offer it was just create the deployment infrastructure on cloud. Then another one was create automated deployments. Then another one was create the monitoring setup. And then another one was create the VPN setup. Then another one was create the virtual private cloud. And all these technical details, I'll structure them by that. And then I started talking to people and figure out their use cases and starting figuring out which minimum bundle I can sell straight away. And then if there were some like additional services that this particular client need, I was just selling it as an additional add-on product for additional static fee. But most of the time, I've defined this golden mean, the bundle of the services that suit for mostly everyone, and it worked really, really well. And service productization had really viral growth effect because when you're automating your business like that, when you're automating your offer, when you're automating your systems, you have more time, and as I already showed, you have more profit. So you have more time, more money, thus you have more resources, and this is your ideal stage when you can innovate. And by innovating, you just stepping into a completely different space. You could create a completely different world for you. And as Blue Ocean strategy says, you're creating the blue ocean where the competition is irrelevant. So you're no longer competing with no one, because there are no people in the world that offer similar bundle of services like that. Even if they offer, the knowledge you get to this role so far is the best unique asset that you already have, because you got so much market validation to get productize your services that no one else in the world could be near you. They can mimic you, they can try to clone you, but they never been near you on the competition level because of your unique service proposition. So the formula is simple. Innovation equals money plus knowledge plus time. And innovation, it is behind the competition, it is market leading, it is improving the industry and sustainable growth. So growing your service business by productizing it leads you to exponential growth, innovation, and brings you lots of freedom. Cheers.